Another visa plan for foreigners? What is the golden visa? And will the ban on mountain climbing in Bali take place or not? Lots of questions about that. Stay tuned for details. Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is June 6, 2023, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? A little cloudy, hot. 32 degrees here in Kampung Bugis right now at 11 a.m. The humidity is 69% and the wind speed 4.5 kilometers per hour. Not too bad. Overall, a nice day, and we are definitely in the dry season. It has not rained here in Kampung Bugis for a couple of weeks. And we have ants everywhere looking for moisture. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, lots of stuff today, so let's get with it. First thing, the golden visa. So I'm looking at the editorial in the Jakarta Post today on the golden visa. That seems to be the latest information. And who else but Pak Sandiaga Uno, our favorite Minister of Tourism. He announced this, and he said that this could be a game changer. Why a game changer? Because it's supposed to bring in more high-level talent and money into Indonesia. Investors, investors, investors. And the Jakarta Post said that they're in favor of immigration. They've long been in favor of immigration. Brings in more talent, more diversity into the country, develops a more robust economy. But they noted that the new golden visa, the details are sketchy. That's a surprise. The visa is supposed to bring in quality talent in the field of digitalization, health research, and technology. And it is also supposed to bring in more digital nomads. More digital nomads? We don't have enough already. And entrepreneurs that will invest in Indonesia. The editorial quite rightly says the devil is in the details, because where are the details? They're not there. If you've been around Indonesia long enough, you know that details don't always seem to be important. You announce something and then you work out the details later. So what is it so far that we know about the golden visa? Well, it's supposed to enable foreigners to stay up to 10 years, a streamlined immigration service, eligibility to purchase assets, what kind of assets, I don't know, in Indonesia, and a fast-track route for citizenship. According to information on the Cabinet Secretariat website, it said that this is eligible for foreign investors, highly skilled workers, and high-earning retirees. However, it's unclear how much a foreigner needs to invest, of course, to be able to be eligible for the program and enjoy its benefits. Investment Minister Lahadali said that maybe the starting number for investments could be 30 billion rupiahs, about $2 million US. The Jakarta Post notes that it remains to be seen whether this is going to be prohibitive. $2 million. It said, to put things in perspective, a smaller country like St. Kitts and Nevis sets its investment figure at $150,000, while the U.S. it's at $1.05 million. The editorial continues on whether it's a reasonable sum or not. We need to remind the government not to be fixated on the amount of money it can collect from the program. The benefits of a golden visa program go beyond fiscal advantages. It fosters cultural dialogue, transfers of knowledge, and many other intangible benefits that will pay us tremendous benefits in the long run. The editorial noted that it has to make sure that there's not going to be red tape that is going to interfere with people who want to use this program because, well, red tape in Indonesia, highly unknown, right? The editorial concluded with a mention of the second home visa program, right, that came out. And, well, that was supposed to be aimed at elderly foreigners who were looking to retire and investors as well. And this also allowed people to stay up to 10 years if they could prove that they had either 2 billion rupiahs or they had a house worth 2 billion rupiahs, or, well, depending on where you lived in Indonesia, because the cost is different, the price is different in different parts of Indonesia. And of course, when this was announced, it was also announced that the retirement visa was out, and of course there was panic everywhere, and you were supposed to transition from the retirement visa into the second home visa. But as the editorial noted, that doesn't seem to have happened. The Jakarta Post said the government later chose to ignore the transition policy. While the golden visa is a good idea, they said the government needs to carefully lay out its plan to ensure its success so that it doesn't miss the boat again. Amen. So, would you be interested in this kind of visa, the golden visa? Maybe if you've got a lot of money, you might be. I don't know. Leave a comment and let us know. And let's take a look at the controversial proposed ban on mountain climbing in Bali. Boy, this has a lot of people riled up. And this comes from comments that the governor made just yesterday, on Monday, about this. So this is the latest from the governor. Prohibits climbing mountains. Koster designs regional regulations. Those are PERDA. And so he emphasized that this regional regulation is urgent because mountain climbing activities in Bali threaten the Taksu vibration of Bali as an island of the gods. The governor said mountain climbing in these sacred areas, the 22 mountains that are going to be banned, well, that's ruining the spiritual aspect of Bali. And he said mountain climbing has caused more losses than gains. He said, if you look at the gains and losses, there are more losses. Don't sacrifice Bali's nature by thinking pragmatically. Let's not think pragmatically. One of the major criticisms of this activity is that it's going to put a lot of people out of work. Who? Well, the climbing guides and people that rent motorbikes and cars and restaurants in the area and homestays and hotels. There is a mass of people who are going to suffer financially if there is a ban on mountain climbing. The governor said he's carefully considered everything, and he has talked to Selingi, the traditional village councils, the Parisada Hindu Dharma Indonesia organization, and he said we have full support from them. The governor emphasized that many sacred areas in Bali are used as tourist attractions. In fact, he said the elders, the ancestors of the Balinese people, really cared for the island, and that they made it into a place of spiritual centeredness. The governor said because of this, Bali is a sacred place and that draws in visitors, both domestic and international. But he said all these tourists, well, they're decreasing the sacredness of Bali. The governor said if Bali's aura decreases, good people, quality people, won't want to come to Bali. He said Bali not only has nature, but it's vibrations that make many people come here. He said as for natural attractions, there are other places in Indonesia that have natural attractions. Kind of sounds like, yeah, if you want natural attractions, go somewhere else. In support of the governor's claim that Bali is losing more than it's gaining, he said in Mount Agung, for example, no more than 100 million rupiah a year go to traditional villages, while in Mount Batur, there's up to 1 billion rupiahs deposited to the Ministry of Forestry as a non-tax income. The governor said he's consulted with the Ministry of Forestry. I don't know why I can't say forestry. The governor, blah, blah, blah. The governor said he's consulted with the Ministry of Forestry about this regional regulation that he wants, and he's waiting to hear from them. When asked by the media if there might be a lawsuit if the regional regulation is passed, is created, the governor said, "Who's suing us? Oh, please." And what about the people that are going to lose their livelihood? The governor said he's preparing for them to work as mountain guard officers. And with that, their income will be guaranteed. They will have a monthly income. He said, much better than working as a guide, where you may have income when there's a lot of people, and you may not have an income when there aren't a lot of people. He said on Mount Agung, there's about 67 people and 200 people in Mount Batur working as guides, and he's going to take care of them with jobs. He said they'll be contract workers, and their income will be higher. However, local guides and associations in the areas of the sacred mountains, especially Mount Agung and Mount Batur, said, yeah, what? Are we going to get jobs? We're going to lose our income, and not just us, but there's all these other people, support people that provide vehicles, transportation, and as I said before, with food and homestays and hotels. And so what about those people? Is he going to compensate the hotels? Is he going to compensate the restaurants? Is he going to compensate the transportation organizations? There's a lot of people here. And guides and local organizations that are going to be impacted by this said, look, we're protecting the sanctity of the mountains. We pick up the trash. We tell the tourists what they can do and what they can't do. There's already regulations. Why not just enforce the regulations that exist? Why make a new one to ban this completely? And another issue that was brought up by people who are not really happy about this is, well, this may also put people off coming to Bali completely, people that want to go hike. I don't know. A lot of people, we have to admit these days, come here because of beach clubs, because they can hang out in Canggu or in Ubud and party. But there are a lot of people that want to get out in nature as well. And so is this going to put them off coming to Bali altogether? Will this impact not only people that are here now, but people that may want to come here? So is this another proposal that is going to be announced? And then as there's more and more pushback, just drift off into the distance. No telling. We'll just have to wait and see. In the last video, I was talking about the do's and don'ts, right? The 12 do's, the 8 don'ts. And one of the things was about plastic. And well, okay, foreigners are not allowed to use the single-use plastics, right? What about in Indonesia? Government to phase out single-use plastics by, drum roll, 2029. That's 6 years from now. The Environment and Forestry Minister, Siti Nurbaya Bakar, said that the government would start imposing a ban on single-use plastic products by the end of 2029. She said plastic products that are going to be targeted by this ban include styrofoam for food packaging, plastic straws, plastic cutlery, and plastic shopping bags. Of course, if you've been around Bali, you know that if you go to a supermarket, well, up here in Singaraja anyway, you can't get plastic bags. You can't get them at convenience stores. That's been going on for years now. So maybe Bali's a little more advanced than other places. However, if you go to warungs and small shops, of course you get plastic. There's still a lot of plastic bags around. And straws, well, there's straws everywhere. And those single-use cups that you'll see after ceremonies, especially, thousands of them on the street. And at schools where kids are, you'll see them thrown out in front of the school. So what's going to happen with that? I don't know. It's going to be banned by 2029. How's that going to work? The government is working towards this target of 70% waste management and 30% waste reduction by 2025, as mandated by presidential regulation number 97 of 2017. In 2020, the Jakarta administration issued a long-awaited gubernatorial regulation banning plastic bags from traditional and modern markets starting in June of that year. And so some places in Indonesia have them and some places don't. What about you? Have you seen plastic bags? Have you been able to go to a convenience store and get a plastic bag? Originally, you could buy them, and then it was just flat out, no, there are no plastic bags. And of course, Zoe and I always take our cloth bags with us when we go because, well, some people still show up and they expect plastic bags. I don't know where they've been for the last few years here. I'm talking about local people. And they go, I've got all this stuff. What am I supposed to do with it? You can buy one of these bags here, not plastic, but you can buy it, and then you can reuse it, they say. Okay, and people do. So that's the single-use plastic situation as it exists right today. And what about parking in Ubud? Yeah, I've seen Bobo's videos and the Monkey's videos of Ubud and taking a look at how the street is with the ban on parking on the street now. So what's happening there? Launching raids in a month. Illegal parking in Ubud tourism area turns out to be not orderly. Surprise, surprise. Even though it's entered its 4th week of controlling illegal parking in Ubud, Gianyar officers have found recalcitrant drivers. They still park their cars and motorbikes on the road, and this hampers the flow of other traffic due to the narrowing of the road. On Sunday, just a couple of days ago, there was a raid going, a legal parking raid from the police, TNE, Transportation Agency, Pol PP, and they were in Ubud along with the Petulang. And where did they find stuff? They found motorcycles and cars parked on the Jalan Raya Ubud and on Monkey Forest Road. Ubud's police chief said people are still doing it. There's a lot less than before, but people are still doing it. We've already socialized this. People should know the rules by now, and they need to follow them in order to keep from having those horrendous traffic jams that Ubud is known for. And here is a follow-up to the McDonald's story. You remember a few videos ago about a fight between a Russian couple and some domestic tourists from Jakarta. After the persecution of McD Jimbaran visitors, a Russian-born beauty has disappeared. I love when they put these headlines of somebody's beautiful. There's always some beauty in these headlines. So the article starts out and says the case of this is over, although it's actually not, as we find out if you read the whole article. Sometimes you have to read the whole article, not just the headlines. So why did they say this is over? Well, because the Russians have fled the country after making a police report. The two are known to have left Bali after the police coordinated with immigration authorities to block them. So apparently they made a hasty exit. So even though they have left the island, the Denpasar Police Criminal Investigation Unit is still continuing to investigate the report. Denpasar Police will still comply with the SOP, Standard Operating Procedures, by coordinating with Polri to issue red notices to both of them, should they be found guilty. So far, the police have talked to 7 witnesses, and they've looked at the CCTV footage at the location. As you know, if you saw the video when I talked about this, maybe I can put a link to it up here. There was smoking going on. The Russian couple were vaping, and the Indonesian family objected to it. They were told by the restaurant workers, you can't do this here. They took offense. They started videoing the Indonesians, who started videoing them, which led to a verbal argument, which then led to fisticuffs. Both sides reporting to the police, but now the Russians are gone. And so if they are found guilty after all of this, I don't know who's going to find them guilty. I guess the police. Well, they're going to send that information to immigration, and then they will be blacklisted. It's not a good idea to get in fights here. I don't know why this goes on, but it does. And rabies. Rabies are in the news again. Government warns of rabies as rabid dog bite cases on the rise. So the government's issued a warning about this because nearly a dozen people have died this year from rabid dog bites. And this has been blamed on the coronavirus. It said that during the period of the coronavirus, the vaccination program for dogs was halted. And so a lot of rabid dogs running around infecting each other and biting people. Now that people are out again, the numbers of people that have been bitten by dogs who are rabid or suspected of being rabid has increased greatly. 2 places where this is the highest in Indonesia, Bali and NTT. There are 31,000 cases of people who have been bitten by suspected rabid dogs up until April of this year. 31,000. That's not in Bali, that's throughout Indonesia. Overall, 23,000 immediately received anti-rabies shots. Last year, there was 104,000 cases of people who were bitten by rabid animals, and from that, 102 deaths. So death-wise, we're pretty good compared to last year. We've got 11 in the first quarter of the year. According to the government, 95% of rabies infections in humans in Indonesia were caused by rabid dogs. Others by foxes, raccoons, and rats. What about bats? Rabies is endemic in 28 of the Indonesian provinces, or nearly 75% of the country. 2 regions in NTT, Sika, and South Central Timor have declared extraordinary health occurrences because of rabies. Because apparently they didn't have rabies before, and now they have it. People don't really know about it. They don't understand what rabies is, or how to tell if they have the symptoms of rabies, and so the government is doing an educational program for that. The health ministry this year so far has distributed 227,000 vaccines and 1,500 serums for post-exposure treatments nationwide. According to this article, rabies in humans has one of the highest fatality rates of any disease, nearly 90% once symptoms appear. Death is preventable if the anti-rabies vaccine or serum is administered after a bite but before symptoms occur. In a bid to realize the government's target of eliminating rabies throughout Indonesia by 2030, authorities will prioritize vaccinating domestic, free-roaming, and stray dogs because annual vaccinations of dogs can eliminate canine rabies, thus stopping almost all cases of humans getting rabies. Okay. A lot of more stuff here that I've got, but I'm not going to talk about it because it's going to be too long. A couple of interesting things. One of these sex videos that are going around, one with foreigners doing it in the pool, and the government said it's not in Indonesia. The voices are dubbed, and it's actually in Thailand, they think. And a second one, local people. And here the argument is not that it's not done in Bali, it's not done in Jimbaran, apparently. So in this video, it had down a beach listed in Jimbaran, but after investigation, it was decided that it wasn't really in Jimbaran because the people talking in the video using Balinese were speaking in an accent common to Bulang, not Jimbaran. And so they've decided it's those Bulang people. Okay, and so this young couple were doing it, and somebody happened to see them and videoed it and say, "Get out! Quit doing this here." And, well, uploaded it, of course, to social media so that everybody could enjoy a little soft porn. And that is it for today. I've been working on this new channel. If you are an English as a second language learner, you might take a look at this. It's up here, link up here. For those of you that are native speakers, it's not going to be very interesting. This is free English lessons for people that are trying to learn English. And so I'm doing a advanced vocabulary word of the day, and then some longer videos talking about different aspects of English, grammar, vocabulary, some of my ideas about language learning and how that occurs and what's the best way to learn another language. And so if you are a native speaker, but you have friends who are not native speakers and want to learn English, you might tell them to take a look at the channel and see if they find it helpful. That's it for today. Zoe is on vacation again, and so I have to deal with that. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today, stay safe, and I will see you next time.